Well, hello everyone and welcome back. I'm scratching Alaska and he will probably keep me here for an hour or so I thought it would be good to give you some guidelines on what you should budget for if you're about to bring a new horse into your life. Whether that be a first horse or you're just adding a new member to your family, it's always good to take certain things into consideration. Okay, he stopped wiggling. I would say, oh, he's wiggling again. Okay, he's literally making this impossible because he just keeps wiggling his booty. Well, at least scratches are free so he can get as much as he wants to. Okay, as I was trying to say, the first expense that I would budget for is, he's licking and chewing. I'm not sure how much you can see because the light is terrible. But watching a relaxed horse is just so good. Okay, he's moving. Back to the booty. The first expense that I would budget for is boarding. It can honestly be the most expensive part of owning a horse. You can keep them at a schooling barn or at a field like they are. You can try to find someone who will rent out land. You can try to have your own land or ask a family member if you can keep a horse on their property. But make sure the place you are going to board your horse at has good conditions. To me, one of the most important parts of a horse's lifestyle is being able to move freely. And, well, that's why these two are in the field. I'm not sure if you can see Mita over there. Yeah, you can. But she was very atrophied. She was very small and slim, and she was so thin. My grandfather kind of told me not to buy her, although he didn't use those exact words. He wasn't too thrilled when he saw her, but she was being kept in a stall as a 2-year-old, and now she looks completely different. She hasn't even started ridden work yet. We only do some groundwork, and she lives on turnout 24/7 with Alaska here, who I am being enslaved by because he wants his booty scratched. And I'm happy to do it. But anyway, I should probably make an entire video dedicated to what living conditions I would seek for my own horses if I was choosing a place to board. So moving on to topic number 2, it's nutrition. And you should ask the place where you are boarding your horse what is included. Most places that I know will include hay and also the grain. So those two aspects you won't have to worry about because they are already included in boarding, but always make sure. And if you want your horse to take supplements, they are costly. If you're going to buy a senior horse, you should budget for good joint supplements. If you don't know what supplements to buy, it will heavily depend on the horse. But I would say seek advice from a qualified veterinarian because they should be able to point you in the right direction. And if you are looking for a horse to buy, you should also ask the current owner if the horse is taking any supplements. And if you see any supplements there that are, let's say, unusual, you should definitely try to understand why the horse is taking that supplement. I do not put anything on my horses or in my horses that I do not have a reason for. Another expense you would have to account for would be the hoof care. And I would say budget for a horse who is shod every other month because that's the most common thing. Although if you have a horse who is barefoot, you might be spending less money. And if you have a horse who needs a special type of shoeing, then you will probably spend a lot more money than that. But this would be the most common thing if you don't have any information on what the horse's current needs are. But if you already have a horse that you are looking into, then I would say try to budget for what the horse is actually in need of. Okay, he's scratching himself, giving me a break. Okay, I'm also going to take his rug off because it's getting warmer, but like it's so weird because it's cold during the night and it's warm during the day. So I'm just going to take his rug off and then I'll continue. So cute. All right. The rug is off and Alaska released me from the scratching duties. So now I'm going to check on the cows. They are separated from the horses because, well, thank you, Mita. And another thing that I would definitely keep in mind before purchasing a horse are any veterinarian expenses that might be foreseeable. For instance, you should be able to afford getting their teeth floated every single year, and also deworming them, if possible, after an account. Any vaccinations that might be needed, such as the tetanus vaccine. And of course, you need an equestrian emergency fund. I'm not talking about the usual emergency fund, like 3 to 6 months, like the finance gurus say, because that is not enough for an equestrian emergency. But try to keep at least a few thousands for actual horse emergencies, because that is usually what they cost, unfortunately. It's heartbreaking. It's so expensive to own horses. It's definitely one of the worst sides of equestrianism. It costs you a kidney and half a lung. And last but not least, take a look into what insurance companies offer. This can vary a lot. All companies are different, and they differ a lot, especially between different countries. I'm sure that the insurance policies in Portugal will be different from what they are, for instance, in the United States or in the UK. But it's something that is always worth taking a look into. And I know some insurance companies won't even insure older horses. So that's another reason to hold an equestrian emergency fund that actually is capable of funding horse emergencies, not just human emergencies, because they are so expensive. But at the same time, if you are a teenager, like I was a long time ago, oh my god, I'm getting old. But if you are a teenager, holding thousands is not realistic, unless you're like a super wealthy teenager. In that case, like, you're lucky. But when I was younger, I could only hold like a few hundreds, and thankfully, I never had any emergencies that went above that. But if you feel like your horse needs a veterinary procedure that your parents are not willing to pay for, such as, well, in my case, my grandfather did not agree with Alaska getting his teeth floated, so that had to come out of my pocket. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Even if you are underage, if you have a horse, I'm not saying you have to cover all of the horse's expenses, but try to keep some money aside, hidden, don't tell anybody about it, because when the time comes, it does come in handy. And since we're talking so much about expenses, well, this one was much more expensive than I anticipated, like in terms of maintenance. She's a really sweet little baby, but she's very high maintenance. So I would say just do all the math on how much it would cost you to keep a horse and then multiply it by 1.5. If you can afford 1.5 of what a horse should cost you. The light is really annoying me. Okay, Mira is giving me some shade now. But if you can afford 1.5 of what a horse should cost you, then you should be good. Because then you also have to account for equipment, which of course you won't be buying all the time. Unless you have like 60 saddle pads, and nobody needs 60 saddle pads. And you will also need to buy hoof oil and tenon gel. Just hide me from the sun. Oh, she's such a good baby. She's high maintenance for sure, but I love her. And of course, you will also need rugs. If you have a growing little baby like I do, none of the rugs that I got her last year fit her anymore, so Alaska basically got 2 rugs from her, and I got her 2 more this year. She's not wearing anything because it's warm, and she's like a fluffy teddy bear. She's so adorable. And of course, last but not least, do not forget that it's best to buy a saddle after you buy the horse, and if you can, consult with a saddle fitter. They are very scarce where I live, which annoys the living hell out of me, because I need to get Mira a new saddle, and I want to get a saddle fitter out. But anyway, I might just start her at 4 years of age. But like at the same time, I would really like to get a saddle fitter here and just buy her a new saddle as soon as possible and just get done with it. Anyway, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notifications if you want to see what criteria I would use to choose a place to board horses. She's looking so good. You're looking so good, Mira. Honestly, she's nothing like the baby I bought. Look at that booty. I swear Kim K has nothing on my horses. Anyway, see ya. Bye.